And I never felt at any point was I given a choice. If you love your baby, that's what you will do.
I think hearing that the Church of England wants to make an apology to the birth mums and to the adoptees, I think it's a really important thing.
It's a time of reckoning. It's about looking at what we got wrong, understanding it, saying sorry, and pledging that we do better.
You have nothing to be ashamed of. The shame is ours.
Today, the Church of England is apologising for harm arising from its role in historical adoption practices, particularly in mother and baby homes. Between 1949 and the mid-1970s, around 185,000 children born to unmarried mothers in England and Wales were placed for adoption. At that time, becoming pregnant outside marriage often brought shame and stigma for women and girls. Many were sent away from home, sometimes across the country, to give birth in secrecy. For many, there were very few meaningful choices. The Church of England was a part of this wider system. It ran, supported, or was affiliated to a network of mother and baby homes. Some were directly overseen by dioceses. Others were run by local committees with varying levels of church involvement. Official Church of England guidance emphasised that mothers should keep their babies wherever possible, and that adoption should only happen with full consent. But we have learned that what happened in practice often did not reflect that intention.
I never felt at any point was I given a choice. You know, you're 15, you've done something that people are terribly shocked by, and society says is wrong, and the church says that you've sinned. And the best thing that you can do is to give that baby a chance of another life that's not with you. That's the best if you love your baby, that's what you will do, you know.
Life inside many of these homes was highly structured. Routines were strict, daily work was expected. Contact with babies could be limited. Some women recall environments that felt unkind and at times punitive.
It was a life run by bells, you know, bells to do this, that and the other. It was very routinized. We were kept busy. We were given jobs to do, and the jobs weren't necessarily particularly wonderful ones. I mean, I think we did the jobs in the morning, and that could be from sort of scrubbing drains outside to working in a laundry where you wash stuff with cold water in stone sinks. So it was pretty unpleasant because I was there in the winter, so I do have memories of it being very cold.
Many women describe feeling that adoption was not presented as one possible option, but as the expected outcome. Decisions were often shaped by authority figures, by stigma, and by a lack of meaningful alternatives.
My mum told me that when they came to take me, that she'd been sent out on an errand to a local shop, and when she came back, I'd just gone. And that was it.
I remember sitting in the park, putting her on my lap and saying to her, "You're not mine. You're not mine." I think I was saying it to me, not to her.
These are individual stories, but they echo what many others have described. Experiences of pressure, loss of control, and decisions made in situations where support was limited and voices were unheard. For many, these experiences were carried in silence for decades. We are deeply grateful to people who have spoken about them, often for the first time, with honesty and courage.
Well, the first thing I want to say that we are profoundly sorry for the pain, trauma and stigma experienced and still carried today by many people as a result of historical adoption practices in homes linked to the Church of England. We heard accounts of pain, of indignity, and of shame, of being treated in ways that felt like punishment and not care or compassion. Well, the practices occurred in a society that often valued respectability and secrecy above care and compassion. The Church of England was part of that society, but it also helped to sustain those values.
I think reading the accounts of young women who were lonely and vulnerable and really had nowhere to turn to, and realising that they had to make decisions in the middle of that about the future of their unborn baby or eventually their baby when born, it just brought home to me that the incredible loneliness of that position when nobody in society wanted to be there for those young women. We understand that the Church of England partly shaped social attitudes and was partly shaped by them. And so in the work that we've done to look at the material in our archives and the work that we've done talking to those with lived experience, we've really tried to understand the combination of those factors. We know that society was cruel to those who had children outside of marriage, and particularly to young women who were in a really vulnerable situation.
The Church is listening and lamenting, but also learning, and we're taking responsibility. We want to provide space for grief and for sorrow, but we want to ensure that we learn from what we hear to ensure that real change occurs. We're profoundly sorry for the harm that you have experienced. We are sorry for the practices which took place in Church of England homes. You have nothing to be ashamed of. The shame is ours.
Through examining its records, the Church has found a complex and uneven picture. There were many times where care and support were offered, but there were also many times where attitudes were harsh or judgmental, where standards varied, and where the system failed those it was meant to serve. The voices of many of the women affected were not recorded at the time. Listening now is an essential part of understanding that history.
We've been working with those with lived experience in this area to understand what kind of response they most need. And that might involve practical help in connecting their lives with some of the records that we might hold. We don't want to do further harm. We want to make sure that people get the kindest, most professional, practical response that they deserve when they make contact with the Church of England. It's a time of reckoning. It's about looking at what we got wrong, understanding it, saying sorry, and pledging that we do better.
I think hearing that the Church of England wants to make an apology to the birth mums and to the adoptees, I think it's a really important thing, and it will bring healing and it will bring release of things that people have felt for years.
If you have been affected by any of the issues in this film, you are not alone. Support is available. Full testimonies, the Church's apology, research findings, and details of support services are available on our website.